Hey guys, this is Impact Hall of Famer Gail Kim, and you are watching the Countdown City WrestleCast.
What's up, heels and baby faces? Welcome to another episode of the Countdown City WrestleCast. I'm your host, JC, and I'm joined this week by Tommy.
Hello.
And not Mike joining us this week. He's not able to make it, but I'm sure he might have a lot to say about Knockouts Knockdown, about the return of Women of Wrestling. So,
in his defense, I'll say he loves wrestling, and apparently, like Jeff Cobb in the freaking G1 this year, love always wins. Because my God, that man taking it already. Sorry, I'm still bitter about the Okada thing.
We might be talking about that a little bit later, maybe probably around Tommy's 1 minute warning, because Cobb is killing it. Look, all I'm going to say about it is, we said months ago, maybe even a year ago, that New Japan would be the perfect fit for Jeff Cobb. This is long before this pandemic shit started, and it'd be great if you went there. He would fit in nicely, and then here he is dominating. And I'm going to say right now, he's looking like he's well on his way to main eventing the Tokyo Dome in January.
I can't believe this. I will never
Why are you mad about this? Why are you mad about this?
He beat Okada. I'm still bitter.
So, oh my God, really? Say he doesn't deserve that? Brandon, what is up? We see you there. We're going to be spending today talking about Impact's Knockouts Knockdown, a great show they had. It was an all-women show, some guys as well, but this one was down to really the announcing, the commentary, and the wrestlers in the ring, the referees even. An all-women show put on by Impact. And it seemed to be that was the theme of the weekend because Women of Wrestling announced their return, finally. They had disappeared for quite a while since they lost their deal with Access TV.
Yeah.
You know, Access, of course, owns Impact, so that kind of fell through. Some major changes, the pandemic and whatnot. So, Brandon asked, Tommy, are you on some Windows Vista? You're a little choppy there. But
I seem fine on my end, but it could be my connection. I don't know. I think the bill's paid. I don't know.
He's still on a dial-up, so we work with what we got here. Hollywood, good to see you, man. Appreciate you joining us. Yeah.
Oh, wow, that was offensive. I did nothing to deserve that.
I don't know why, but ever since OBS updated, there's the connection issues have been up and down.
Yeah.
So if you're seeing us here, oh my God, seriously. Come on, work with us here. Yeah, it's being weird, but if you're seeing us, hanging with us, if you're watching us later on the back, I apologize. We're working this out. Something's with OBS. It just decides to be at a hole right now. So, anyway, appreciate everyone joining us. Today, we're going to be talking all about Impact's Knockouts Knockdown. We're going to get right into it right now as we speak. Now, if you're watching us later on, maybe catching this after we haven't broadcasted live, recommend you pause this now because we're going to spoil the hell out of this show. It was
for sure.
Such a great show. There's a lot of results here to it. You can watch it on demand on Impact Plus. Although I think they said there was also like a YouTube Insider thing, which might be something on and outside the U.S. or something external. So, but this was a great show. It did feature a one-night, 8-woman tournament. The winner getting a future title shot for the Impact's Knockouts Championship. First round matches, Rachel Ellering defeated Lady Frost. Chelsea Green defeated Rainey Michelle. Mercedes Martinez defeated Brandy Laura. And Tasha Steelz defeated Jamie Senegal. Mercedes beat Rachel Ellering in the semis. And Tasha Steelz beat Chelsea Green in the other semifinal, which arguably was the match of the night. Tasha and Chelsea Green was just simply amazing to watch. And
coming into her own.
Definitely. And but very happy to see Mercedes Martinez take it all, beat Tasha Steelz in the final, getting a future title shot. And they already seem to be talking, at least on the commentary, that it's whoever comes out of Bound for Glory between Mickey James and Deonna Purrazzo is going to be having to face Mercedes Martinez next.
Didn't we call the finals of that tournament?
We kind of did, yeah. I think.
Didn't all of us say it was going to be Mercedes and Tasha?
I thought it was going to be Tasha winning it. You and Tommy had said Mercedes. Y'all guys had been right. I think if Tina had been on the show, she also would have said Mercedes Martinez.
Yeah, I was gonna Mercedes. Like I said, Mercedes is in Eddie Kingston. I'm picking them until they win it. You know what I'm saying? It's like they're gonna be the ones I pick until they win it.
Yeah.
Because I haven't seen the whole show yet for disclosure. But when I was reading the results, I saw that I was like, holy crap! Actually, I guessed the tournament correctly. I haven't done that in a while.
Yeah. But this was just pretty damn cool to see. I'm very happy with the result, though. I think it was well deserved.
For sure.
They've been talking her up a lot, so this was definitely very well deserved. So, let's see. Can we get is everything good now? Yeah. All right. We're connecting good. We're going to run through this here. Here we go.
Okay.
Some of the other matches they had on the night, just some of the, there was, Deonna Purrazzo had a match against Masha Slamovich, won by submission. The Daphne Memorial Monsters Ball match was so good. The four-way was Savannah Evans, Alicia Edwards, Jordan Grace, and Kimberly. I know I typed the wrong name on the agenda there, but they pulled no stops. This match definitely would have done Daphne proud. Tommy, I know you saw part of it. Did you get to see the Monsters Ball match at all? Or no?
Yeah. First off, shout out to Savannah Evans. That's the rub for sure. I mean, that's the rocket strap to your back on that one.
Yeah.
The Jordan Grace Muscle Buster is the clip that I saw so much.
Jesus Christ.
But see, here's the thing. It's one of those things in wrestling, that's the clip that you should put on replay. It's like Mick Foley with the cell, Nick Skipper when he did the cage walk. It's one of those moves where you're just like, ow. Was that necessary? I also shout out to the referee Yali Sapphire. I have met her several times. She's really a sweet person. She's really working her way up. Proud of her to see her do that for that show. That was amazing. Yeah, I think Daphne would be proud. I love matches like that because to me it's like Daphne, Jazz, and women like them were the ones who really were the ones doing the hardcore stuff before they thought women could do hardcore stuff like that. But I was like, no, they can. It's just give them a chance. So.
It's they don't do it all the time. They do it every once in a while, and then it really is something special when it does happen. Hollywood, by the way, says don't throw your shoulder out, patting yourself on the back. I think talking about us picking what the championship was going to be of the tournament.
Hollywood thinks he's funny. This is why commentating with him is just so difficult. So I'm kidding. Okay, yeah. He's going to make me pay for that later.
Finally, main event was Decay defeating the Influence to retain the Knockouts Tag Team Championship. Great match to end the show. And there's some other moments, too, that were amazing for this. They had everybody in the ring, surrounding the ring, to have a moment of silence for Daphne. This event itself, I believe, was announced even before she passed, and it's really turned into a very special moment for her. We also did get a little speech from Kong with her announcement as the next inductee into the Impact Wrestling Hall of Fame. Very well deserved. Yeah.
I love the fact that she's getting all this recognition because, okay, so I'm not going to lie. I was worried that with the current wrestling generation, which is not that far removed from when she was at her peak, a lot of people wouldn't remember her. I'm being honest. I was worried people wouldn't remember her. To see the love that she's getting is very reassuring, I guess I could say, because it's so cool to see that so many people, A, didn't forget about her, and B, are just so happy that she's, retiring, sure, but why not the memories? Who in that era didn't remember when she was like the scariest, female wrestler of all time? She came from the back, looked like she could, murder the entire locker room, men and women alike. Which is why I've been half the guys like say, "Wow, thank God she's not in our division." Anyway, so
yeah. And it was kind of crazy knowing how much of a monster character she was. She was this big, tough woman. how emotional she was getting. It just having to
Yeah.
get a thank you speech and
Yeah.
everything like that. So it was
Yeah,
pretty damn cool. You know.
I also think it's probably because it's like, maybe for her, maybe she didn't think she would ever get that kind of recognition. You never,
Yeah.
some people, no matter how good they are, they don't think that they'll get that kind of recognition, and she absolutely deserves it. I mean, it's like, I mean, how many times have we said this? Impact survived because of the Knockouts division in their worst days. When they were at the crappiest of booking, it had not been for Gail Kim, Roxy Laveau, Awesome Kong,
ODB.
The ODB, Tara, the beautiful people, they would not have made it. If it was just the guys, as good a matches they were putting on, there were crap stories going on. But the women was actually a lot of fun. So, that's what kept them alive. There was a point where I said if Impact became an all women's promotion, I would not miss the guys' side of it at all. Right? So
Thankfully, that's come back, at least on the guys' side of
Yeah.
it. And the women have stayed
Yeah.
so good. They made a point to acknowledge that in the opening of the show, the legacy that was left behind by so many of the Knockouts division, because they, long before anybody talked about a women's evolution or women's revolution, they were doing it first on mainstream TV, putting women at the forefront, having them do main events and being a part of it. You know, and I can't say there's ever really been a bad era of the Knockouts division because the wrestling has always been so good. Storylines have always been so great. There's talent that wants to be a part of it. And we'll talk about that because there's another talented tag team, women's, that has just signed officially with Impact. And we'll talk about this second. I'll at least I know Tommy didn't get to see all of Knockouts Knockdown, so he's not comfortable giving a rating on the show. But I'm going to give one. Mike, I'm not sure if he has seen it, but like I said, if you haven't seen it yet, and maybe you spoiled it, you got to this point of it, definitely worth the watch. Definitely worth the amount of money to subscribe to Impact Plus, which is $7.99 a month. I'm not sure if they do like a free trial for like a week or a month or something, but this show was amazing. They haven't done a Knockouts Knockdown since, 2017, maybe earlier. It's been a while.
it's been a minute.
Yeah, and I'm hoping this becomes an annual thing. I know I said that about Evolution.
2017 was the last
2017 was the last one. Yeah, it was just simply amazing to put together. Hollywood, I see you. Promoters need to take notice. Women's wrestling sells. Definitely, it really does, especially when it is done right. Yeah, from B Ninja, the whole Knockouts Knockdown, amazing show. Love the Daphne tribute, and glad to remember Impact hold it down for the KO division. Definitely, that's something that has stood the test of time between the TNA and the Impact eras. As far as the show itself, it was a great show, really amazing. 4.5 out of 5 for me. Obviously some of the tournament matches can run a little bit. They just kind of placeholders, if you will, at times. But it's not to say the talent was bad. It was really good. It was fun. This is actually one of the first shows where Impact did have a live crowd in attendance too for the recording of it. So, I mean, the only negative was anything with the Beautiful People 2.0 was very Divas-esque. Yeah, but then maybe that was the point. They wanted to do this whole Diva thing.
I almost feel like people do that as a parody now. Like whenever that does happen, I feel like they know exactly what they're doing. It's like, to me, it's like someone like, I think it was someone else did that series. I was like, they know what they're doing. They know exactly. They're trying to make everyone angry at that era or acting like that era or whatever. So,
Exactly.
Yeah, I think they know what they're doing.
Exactly, they know what they're doing. So, I'm giving this a 4.5 out of 5. I think it's a great show. I think it is definitely worth a watch.
Hopefully I'll get to watch it this weekend.
Yeah. I highly recommend it too, especially because I don't think there's any really big pay-per-view this weekend. We're not going to be previewing anything coming up this weekend. I'll get to what we're talking about next week. But as far as what this sets up for the future, Bound for Glory is a little over a week away, about a week and a half away. And the biggest news that has come out on the knockout side of it is that the Inspiration, formerly the Iconics, have announced that they have signed with Impact, as we've said was the best landing spot for them when they got released in WWE. They've worked out the visa issues. Everything's looking good. Brandon, I see you 4.5 out of 5 for you. Awesome. We're on the same page there. Hollywood says, Tommy, do you remember the BOW Shenanigans show?
Yes. That was probably one of the shows where we had the biggest turnout. Actually, we were supposed to have a second one. COVID occurred. Didn't happen. But we had Victoria Tara. She was there. Taya Valkyrie was there. It was just a really great show. This is actually one of the. There's also another show. Lacey Ryan was at too. She's Zoe Stark now in NXT.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that show so like women's wrestling does sell because when I've actually had this argument with people. It's like they're just as good as the men,
if not better.
You just
yeah,
if not better. I don't ever really want to crap on the Divas era because they weren't the absolute worst like we remember. They really weren't. I just think that people were so tired of things happening at that point. It got marred down in that light. There were some bad matches, but you could say that with any promotion in any era. So I don't think that's a fair assessment. But it's just that I think women's wrestling now is probably the most serious it's ever been taken in all of pro wrestling history, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back to Bound for Glory. The Inspiration will be there. It sounds like they're going to make an appearance. It sounds like they're going to do some sort of promo. I'm sure they're going to be targeting Decay, the current Knockouts Tag Team Champions.
Can you imagine the hilarity of the promos?
That's what I'm looking forward to.
That feud?
Yes.
Man, I cannot wait to see them terrified of Rosemary, of Havoc. I cannot wait. Because like we said, we knew they were going to go there at some point.
Yeah.
It's just like now that it's happening, it's like, oh, the promos. I can't wait for the promos.
Do you think that they are? We know with Impact with the talent sharing thing with AEW. Do you think they're going to be wrestling strictly just on Impact, or that they're going to be doing some shows with AEW as well? Even though
I think they'll do it strictly with Impact just for now, because they'll just get there. But I don't know, man, because I think this Forbidden Door being like rather more of a forbidden revolving door at this point is makes the opportunity quite clear. I think if nothing else, they'll take pot shots at AEW and their women, and that'll get AEW women like maybe targeting them in return. And I think we'll get it that way. But to me, it's also like, you know, if this will also be proof of Impact's strength and stability to have them, you know, their sign there. So, you know, they could just bunker down, stay in Impact, and make everyone come to them. You know, like maybe they'll show up in a vignette for AEW saying, well, if you really want us that badly, you'll come here and come get us. You know, something like that.
Right. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing how they're going to handle Bound for Glory. Like I said, we're going to talk about that a bit next week. Right now, there's 5 matches on the card. The standout ones right now, obviously, are Christian Cage against Josh Alexander, and of course, Deonna Purrazzo against Mickie James. And they'll be crowning a new X Division champion too, as well as Josh Alexander cashed in Option C as the X Division champion to get his title shot against Christian Cage. So that's going to be fun to talk about next week. Now, like I said, this seems to be a women's wrestling weekend to talk about, because right before Knockouts Knockdown, we got a surprise announcement from Women of Wrestling, and it's been a while. They haven't been seen really since they lost the TV deal with Access TV. Don't recall if they just didn't renew it. Access, of course, now is the home of Impact. And WoW really was kind of in limbo here. But they still seem to have retained most of the talent. And they made a surprise announcement. They heavily featured Tessa Blanchard. And, of course, I believe she has a history there as well. But the biggest surprise of this was AJ Mendez, also known as AJ Lee, has been hired on as executive producer and color commentator.
Yeah.
And talk about a never say never thing. CM Punk returning to wrestling to AEW. And here's AJ joining in with Women's of Wrestling. Now, Women of Wrestling, it's a different feel. If you haven't seen a show before, it's definitely worth going back and watching. But keep in mind, it's a different type of feel. It's a little more character-driven. It's a little more cinematic. Think the best way I can put it is think Lucha Underground, but in English, and with an all-women's roster.
And it's kind of like what was it, Glow back in the day, like for any like 80s babies who remember Glow. That's what it's really like. It's like because I know there are some wrestlers whose names I like know their regular like names, and they have like different names there. But I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I get what they're doing. It's a lot of fun. So.
Yeah. Bina just says, yeah, I don't know about WoW now. Is that Tessa Blanchard related? Do explain. Hollywood, Alex Gracia and Killa Kate. Then he gives the horns up. Yes.
Yeah.
Barbie Hayden was, of course, a WoW alum. I forget what her character's name was. Yeah. It was like the governor's daughter. I forget the name.
Was it something Dallas? Okay, now you said that, I got to look it up.
Danny B. Yeah, but the AJ Mendez thing is huge. And here's another thing people may not realize. Everyone remembers when Charlotte, Sasha, Bailey, Becky were coming up through NXT.
Abilene Maverick, that was her name.
Abilene Maverick, there we go.
Maverick, yeah.
The super fan of Bailey's, Izzy, was featured prominently front row at wrestling shows for NXT. And, she's taken on a social media following of her own. She's had so much support from her parents. She's been training to be a wrestler, has actually wrestled her first match, and is traveling around. Obviously, she's big as a fan at WWE, but she still travels everywhere to go to AEW shows and whatnot.
She does like interviews and
she does interviews. Her show, The Hot Tag.
She's really loved by the wrestling community.
Yes,
it's like everywhere she goes, it's like she's giving props left and right, and good for her because she's really cool.
She's a common guest on Busted Open Radio.
Yeah,
but now she is also part of the WoW team. She's going to be handling a lot of the interviews, some of the social media things. And she got to interview AJ Mendez and was on the verge of marking out the whole time because she couldn't believe she was in that situation so much. But it's...
And it's like, can you blame her?
Yeah.
Can you blame her? Look, me and Hollywood do BOW.
Yeah.
And don't ever let us get like... Because I nearly marked out the fact that I filmed matches with guys like Starks and everyone and everything. Don't let us ever get to like interview someone like CM Punk or something like that. Just stars aligned. If we had enough money, we don't. But if we did, but dude, yeah, it's a mark out thing. It's to me, he could be like how like Tony Khan is. Mm-hmm. He is clearly a wrestling fan. 1,000%. It's so he freaks out, I think, more than the regular fans do at half the crap he pulls off, and rightfully so. And I remember seeing a clip of a fan took a video of before Rampage started the night CM Punk came back of Tony Khan talking to the crowd, and he was just so amped and Jones because he knew what was coming, and it's like that makes sense.
Yeah.
So for Izzy marking out with AJ Mendez, good for her. Hell, I would.
Hollywood says met her and her dad at Hybrid when she was training with Tessa. Wow, and really nice. That must be
okay. I swear I'm gonna stop that school.
I've seen Izzy pop up at shows here and there. She's great. She really is. It's been fun to follow her because. If there's ever a young talent that's going to be a star someday, for one way or another, it's her. And it's kind of cool to see her grow up in this modern wrestling environment. The magic of social media is to see her start as just a fan, whose mom snapped a picture, or someone backstage snapped a picture of her front row just into the show.
Yeah. And
it's ballooned to so much. So, yeah.
I just thought of what if 10, 15 years we see her leading her own faction, -1 leading another version of the Dark Order, and arguing is it's like I was doing this long before you. Yeah. Oh yeah, well in my head that feels like the perfect feud. Just to have the perfect intergender match later. I would already book that. Just you guys signed this here for 15 years later, we'll pay you now.
Now, as far as TV broadcasting, this is a kind of a joint thing that they've got with Viacom CBS. So I don't know if WoW is big enough to get a network TV deal. I don't imagine CBS would pick up something like this. Maybe something like CBS Sports Network, or I think the most logical potential solution, at least right now, is Paramount Plus.
I think so, and and for the life of me, I can't see why that wouldn't work, because pretty much every streaming service now has something kind of, if it's not a wrestling promotion, it's wrestling related. I mean, like, like they'll have like wrestling, like, or shows about wrestling. Heels I think just wrapped up on with Stars and everything.
Yeah, I still need to see the finale. It's really good.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. But it's like we're back in this era where wrestling is kind of must see TV again. And am I wrong for saying we kind of have AEW to thank for that? I mean,
no, you're pretty much on the spot. Yeah.
It's like I'm not saying WoW can't stand on its own. I'm not saying any companies can't stand on their own. That's not what I'm saying at all. But it's like AEW being as big as it got in such a short amount of time, wrestling became a thing everyone had to watch again. Like, you can't miss it. You can't miss a week of AEW. You won't know what happened next week. So now it's like, and now with the Forbidden Door thing, well, and restrictions of COVID starting to get lifted a little bit. Well, who's going here? Who could be there? Who's over there? Like Christopher Daniels showing up in Impact randomly. By the way, I'm 100% for him winning the world title, because just like him winning the ROH World Championship, he's just as good as AJ Styles. Should have been champion just as many times. I'm standing on that argument. That is the hill I will die on. Anyway.
This has me pretty interested, and for me personally, I'm already a subscriber to Paramount Plus, so I'm good to go if it's there. But I'll
get it quicker.
Not a lot of details have been announced as far as when this is going to air. All we know is that it's coming back officially in 2022. Most of the talent is back, so check out the website for more details. They're putting a lot of investment into this. They got people talking. I think the AJ Mendez signing is really important. She's going to be able to mentor and help a lot with the young talent, the next generation. Now, as she said in the interview, she's done what she's wanted to do. She wants to kind of get this for the next generation, but, she's still healthy enough to get in the ring. And if the opportunity presents itself, it's one of those never say never things. So she didn't quite say yes. She didn't quite say no. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see. Maybe there's some storyline down the road where she pops back in there. So.
I think, again, like, I think this kind of resurgence of pro wrestling is kind of what did draw her and CM Punk back, is because, like, before, like you said, WWE, like everyone has said, WWE was like the only real game, especially in the United States, and aside from like Indies and like places like ROH and Impact, you could go there, but it's there is no guarantees and everything like that, and is the passion really there? I think AEW has shown that wrestlers everywhere still have the passion for this, because
definitely,
because even when we watched when Ring of Honor had Death Before Dishonor, if you like really watch those guys, it's like you can tell like now everyone is trying to put on the best show, because they know they are, I won't say fighting for survival, because I don't think this is the era of ratings mattering that much like some people want them to. I think for some reason that's weird to me, but it's like I think it's just the era of this company and this company aren't the only ones who have great wrestlers, so do we. And WoW is going to just contribute to that. I mean, how easy could it be for us in like 5 more years to want to see a crossover of WoW jumping AEW or Impact or ROH women's rosters, because they can stage that kind of thing. How much more could it be before? And I think the COVID stalled these plans too, but New Japan with Stardom, they could still, elevate that higher. They just had a pay-per-view about I think you know what? I think that was last weekend too.
Oh, nice.
I think Stardom had a big pay-per-view last weekend because, they did. So and that could be a thing. They could have all these women's wrestlers. They could have a series of women's only pay-per-views and have wrestlers from all over the world do it, and I'm 1,000% for that plan.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing it too, and women's wrestling is coming back, and I hope WWE takes a bit notice. I'm not saying the talent there has been bad, but it's kind of hit a lull, and I don't know if this is potentially due to the Bailey injury or whatnot, but the matches haven't been what they could be. Personal opinion. So
they haven't been what they were. Like
Yeah.
they had it. I mean, how many times do we have? I feel like I'm just saying a lot of stuff that we said already. Like, how many times do I have to say it? The women in WWE were one of the biggest reasons the WWE survived the pandemic.
yes, agreed.
Bailey, Sasha, and all of them were killing it, week after week after week, with no fans, with no crowd, with no piped-in noise. Thank God at the time. They were still killing it. You couldn't miss a Bailey promo. That was stupid. It didn't matter if you hated all of Raw and/or SmackDown. Bailey was talking. That was worth watching.
Definitely. All right. Well, with that, we're going to get into our 1 minute warning segment. For those that might be new to the show, this is really where we each can just take a minute to talk about whatever it is we want to talk about, wrestling related or otherwise. Tommy, I assume with you, we're going to get an update about the G1 because there's a lot to discuss.
Let me just because I got to pull up the list because I don't want to get called out for being wrong because I'm biased.
This is kind of bittersweet for Tommy because he loves talking New Japan, but he's not too happy with a certain result, even though we've been happy about it, as we might have teased earlier in the show. So
only because I'm bitter, and I fully admit that I'm bitter.
Let me know when you're ready.
Okay. And whenever you're ready.
All right, ready, set, and go.
Okay, so like I said, I'm just bitter that Jeff Cobb has beat Okada. Yes, I am one of those guys who that does still matter to. But it's not just the fact that he's beaten Okada, but they haven't faced each other in the tournament yet. I stress yet because, and get ready for this, both Okada and Jeff Cobb are undefeated in Block B. They both have 2 matches left, and one of those matches is against each other. Cobb has to face Evil, and Okada has to face Tama Tonga. Those are the 2 guys that have to left. Those are the only matches left, and then they have to face each other, which I'm guessing will be on the final night of Block B when they face each other. And I am already having palpitations because this will be their rubber match. Okada is 1-1, Jeff Cobb is 1-1. This will be the tiebreaker. And I will never live this down. If Jeff Cobb goes all just undefeated, Mike will have a T-shirt made. and just to be fair, on the other side of things, Kota Ibushi is currently at the top of the leaderboard for Block A with 12 points. Right behind him is Zack Sabre Jr., Kenta, Shingo Takagi, all with 10. And Toriano has 8. God, Toriano has 8. Anyway,
not far away. He just strings off some wins. He can be up there in the end. So
here's the thing: if certain people lose in certain ways, he could potentially. If I think mathematically he still has at least a chance. I think. Yeah. Maybe I'm wrong, but let's see how these blocks play out. We'll see.
Look, I know realistically, he's probably not going to win the block. I would love to see it personally because I think it's hilarious, but. It would have been great if he either finished tied for first, but he loses on the tiebreaker because the guy beat him, or he's just like a close second, like 1 point behind. Like, I think it would be just beautiful to have Toriano as, he's the king of pro wrestling, mind you, to have him be just right behind the guy that advances in his block,
I kind of agree only because of how long he's been there, but at the same time, I know so many people who would immediately cancel their New Japan subscription if he came out even remotely the winner of one of his blocks.
It would be so good, though, right? It'd be so good.
It would be hilarious.
Yeah.
It would be so great.
It's a crime not seeing Tony Storm as a star. WWE jobbing her out was a travesty. I definitely agree, and this is this is another one of those things where I don't think people should want to leave NXT if they're doing so well there. Because if you're not a true homegrown talent, they're just going to destroy everything you've built up in NXT when you get to the main roster. They almost view it as you have to pay your dues again, if you will. It's I don't know. It is a crime.
Okay, I'm glad you phrased it that way because I really don't like that because that means you're implying people didn't watch NXT.
Yes.
Like that's why I never wanted the UE to ever be called up, and that's why I'm glad half of them are currently in AEW because I'm waiting for the other half to get there. I don't really want a UE reunion. I just want them to fight each other. But it's like that's the thing. It's like that's why I'm glad Bobby Fish of all people, thank God, he didn't go to the main roster. Because Bobby Fish is so good, he proved it in his match with Sammy Guevara. He does not need to be be jobbed out. Losing to Sammy Guevara is not being jobbed out, people. Mm-hmm. I refuse to hear that mess because Sammy Guevara is considered one of the best in AEW. Bobby Fish took him to the limit, and it was like by the skin of his teeth that he pulled out a victory against Bobby Fish because he's that good. But the thing with Toni Storm, like Ninja is saying, is like she's so good and she's proven it. She proved it in NXT UK. She proved it in NXT. Not 2.0. I can't get over that name. But so why is she like not being pushed to the moon? She can be the next Charlotte. And again, this is because I have nothing against Charlotte as a wrestler. I have a problem with her booking. I love Toni Storm. This booking is trash. Although she did get engaged to Juice Robinson, which I didn't even know they were dating. Congratulations to them. Juice Robinson, the lucky son of a... Anyway,
all right.
I agree. That sucks.
We mentioned earlier, I'll get to my 1 minute warning now, but you mentioned earlier about where this turned around, how AEW's done this and done that. I'll even go back a little bit further, and that's All In. 3 years ago in September, we got the All In show on almost like a Dare challenge, kind of, where Meltzer thought there's no way they could fill a 10,000 seat stadium that's not WWE right now. And Cody said, I'll take the bet. And he did it in Chicago on Labor Day weekend. He basically claimed a weekend that no one else was using. And they've used it ever since with AEW.
I was going to say they have laid claim to that weekend ever since.
All In opened so many doors for what we see now. It made wrestling cool again. And it's WWE even seemed to take notice. There's been reports now, Chelsea Green pretty much confirmed, that WWE would not allow any talent under their contract to even be backstage at All In. They didn't want to be associated with it. And I mentioned that because Chelsea Green revealed that in an interview because prior to her signing with WWE, she had to finish her dates. All In was one of them, but they wouldn't let her fiance Matt Cardona be there to support her, even though he was blowing up her phone after a match how great it was. Here's my thing. You might have done that thinking this, you don't want them associated with it. All you did was pad All In's pay-per-view numbers. Because I guarantee everyone on that WWE roster was buying that pay-per-view to watch it that night.
You're absolutely right. I
So,
didn't even think of that.
Maybe you could have tapped into those numbers by letting people attend. I don't know. Just a thought, I guess you could say. But All In was really the precursor and the starting point of where this new era of wrestling began. Because without it, we don't get AEW. We don't get, we don't get everything we see now. We don't get the idea of the Forbidden Door here because that was such a big independent show where so many companies contributed to that. And now that we have this Forbidden Door being opened, all these companies working together, Impact has gotten a big resurgence. AAA is getting one mainstream as well. The NWA is coming back for crying out loud. I had someone that, talking a little bit of wrestling that he hasn't watched in so long, and he was asking what other companies were out there. He was asking me about AEW. I said, yeah, it's huge right now. Impact is great. NWA, I thought WWE owned them now. I was like, no, they broke away from WCW. They were dormant for a while, but they got a TV deal. So it's a lot out there.
I remember I remember family members. I had family after CM Punk came back, texting me and messaging me on Facebook and on my phone saying, okay, I just heard about CM Punk. What is going on? What should I start watching again? Like I had a nephew who was like, okay, what channel is AEW on? I don't. What do they come on? And another thing is to me, and it's also like to me, it's also helped. I think this social media helps because, think about this. One of the biggest wrestlers, I think, on social media, especially, is Shane Taylor. We've talked about him a number of times, and it's like whenever people talk about 6-man, because they're pretty much guaranteeing AEW is going to have 6-man tag belts at some point. You know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But it's like everyone's saying, well, let's talk about one of the greatest 6-man tags right now, which is Shane Taylor Promotions. That's part of this. That's part of this Forbidden Door thing because social media has helped open it. You have people who say they want these matches, and we could get them, and not necessarily in AEW, because think about places like PWG, which is almost like a neutral demilitarized zone for pro wrestling, because the current tag champions are Brody King and Malachi Black. Ring of Honor wrestler and AEW wrestler are the tag team champions of PWG.
Because anything goes to PWG,
Also,
right? So
I heard someone describe PWG as the Spot Fest promotion, and I haven't stopped laughing since, because I was like, I never thought of that before. That's 1,000% what they are, and I love them for it. So, it's like, to me, something wrong with it, because certain promotions do certain things. And if PWG is the Spot Fest promotion, oh, that's why I'm watching it.
So be it. They sell tickets. They sell pay-per-views. It works, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks for everyone for joining us here this week. And if you're watching us after we've gone live, we appreciate that as well. If you saw Knockouts Knockdown, let us know what you think about it. Let us know what you think about the Women of Wrestling WOW promotions returning next year. And you can also keep the conversation going with us. Our Twitter, at @CCG_WrestleCast. See it here at the bottom of the screen, way at the very bottom there. Next week, we're going to talk all about WWE Crown Jewel and Impact Bound for Glory.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we
Bound for Glory is looking really good right now, obviously.
Bound for Glory is looking like it might be like the WrestleMania 17 of Impact, because card is already stacked. It's got it all right now, man.
Yeah. There's a lot to talk about with that. It's going to be amazing. And
well, let's just get it over.
It's a midweek pay-per-view, and let's hope they get back home in time for SmackDown. That's all we can really pray for at this point. Otherwise, Fox might have a shit fit. But that's what we're going to be talking about next week on the WrestleCast. Yeah. We'll be talking all about that next week on the show, and looking forward to that. Kind of a dual pack thing. So thank you, everyone, for watching. We do appreciate it. Over here, we got Tommy.
Thanks, guys.
And I should probably start the music up right now before I do my intro here, or my outro, I should say. The copyright going here, too. And I am JC, and as always, heels and baby faces, remember, pro wrestling is real. People are fake. Catch you next week.